First pair getting ready. Gaston Morrison and Grant Smith. Grant will lead. Gaston will follow. Grant initiates as they head into turn 3 of the oval. Gaston trying to close the gap as he slides a bit wide. Grant keeps it nice and tight to the inside curb. So Grant Smith pulling a big margin there as Gaston now, just as I say that, closes up in on Grant as they head. And now Gaston up the inside taking a peek. Heading back into the infield, Grant Smith clipping the curve of the inside, whiff of dust coming up, and both drivers putting on a great show as they finish off the first run. Gaston Morrison leads Grant Smith. Gaston leads the initiation as Grant closes in on Gaston's rear quarter panel, heading into the infield. Gaston slammed the doors. Both drivers got close to the learning curve on the outside as they head through the infield. Gaston, whoa, Grant Smith loses the rear end trying to stay off Gaston. Grant Smith somehow kept going, but that thing was pointed right at the garbage barrels. Up, Chris McClung going to lead the way. A bit of a drag race down the back straight for position. As Chris now takes a spot out in clean air, and Serge taking a big peek and straightens up. Serge, and he's going to spin it out. Serge Struan runs out of talent in the infield, and Chris McClung brings the Nissan out of the front straight. So Chris McClung again all by his lonesome as Serge Struan spins out in the Mazda. So now Serge will lead and Chris McClung will follow. No jockeying for position down the back straight. Serge builds a gap and initiates. Chris follows suit as they head off into the infield. Chris McClung starts to close down the gap. Between him and Serge Struan as they head off through the infield and now out on the front straight. Serge still has a pretty considerable gap as he brings it out wide. Serge Struan heading off to the infield, and Chris McClung, pretty big gap between the two of them. And Serge crosses the line, finishes off. So Chris McClung will move on. Brett LeBaron is going to lead the way in the Miata. Brett initiates, and Danny's right on his rear quarter panel. Here they come. Into the infield. Brett slams the door on him. Here they come. Danny Cox staying right with Brett. Danny, big peek up the inside, staying right with Brett LeBaron. Right on his rear bumper, Danny shoving it up the inside. Almost a bit of contact there as they finish off the run. All right, Danny sets off. Brett's going to try and stick with him as they head into turn 3 of the oval. Danny Cox and Brett LeBaron. Brett taking a big peek up the inside in the Miata as they head off into the infield. Brett had to check up a tiny bit there to keep off of Danny as they head through the infield portion of the course. Brett clipping the curve and straightens up as Danny Cox leading the charge, shooting out some flame out the back and clipping the inside curve in the dirt, finishing off run number 2. All right, last pair for the top 8. Dorian Redden will lead Sheldon Rozon for the first run. Dorian initiates Sheldon right up to his door as they head off into the infield, keeping it nice and tight. Sheldon had to grab a bit of the brake there, clipping the curve on the inside into the dirt. And Dorian loses it. Oh, no, Dorian. And Sheldon Rozon. Sheldon out there all by himself in the Nissan. So Sheldon Rozon finishes off that run, and so does Dorian. All right, here we go. Sheldon Rozon going to lead Dorian Redden. Here they go down the back straight. Dorian staying with Sheldon on initiation as they come through 3 and 4 the oval. Dorian taking a nice tight inside line and slides right up with Sheldon. Sheldon Rozon, Dorian Redden heading through the infield for the first time. Dorian taking a nice peek up the inside. Dorian staying with Sheldon as Sheldon arcing it out as they head in the infield. Dorian right there with him, coming across the line.